All right, y'all, now we've really got to talk about the Moonies. So as y'all know, I've been calling this group out for years. This is one of the top 5 most notorious cults in the world. Now, this particular group has had a lot of impact globally, but specifically here in the United States with politics and media and food and a lot of other big corporations and things that we would all care about if we knew what they were really doing. The interesting thing is how they've infiltrated nonprofits and specifically the Christian movement. So let's talk about how they've infiltrated the anti-trafficking space and how I went undercover into the Moonies compound a couple years ago and how dark humor carried me through. But more importantly, what you need to know about why we need to care and be focused on this particular group and specifically what they have their tentacles in. Now, just imagine this. I'm a survivor of 20 years of cult abuse and child trafficking. I'm working with an anti-trafficking nonprofit that is heavily Christian undertone, which is fine. But the founder, Craig Sawyer, keeps associating with this church, right? And they're calling them good Christians and saying all these wonderful things. And they're asking me to do a podcast with Pastor Sean. And at first I don't connect the dots, but I get this weird gut instinct like, this is weird. What's going on with these weird guys? And they're like, no. When I asked, I connected the dots finally. Is this Sean Moon, like the Mooney? Wait, what? This is a cult. Why are we associating with the cult? And they were like, oh, I see why you might think it's a cult for your real filter of the world, but they're not a cult. They're just good Christians and they love Jesus and all their children are smiling. So as you can imagine, that kind of gaslighting just did not sit well with me, right? But my main concern beyond the involvement was the founder didn't seem to have time to actually combat child trafficking with the millions of dollars he's raised over the last few years, but he had a lot of time to be at their events like all the time throughout the year. So this is just some of what's public, but like there was heavy involvement, lots of donations. In fact, in 2024, through a MAGA meme coin, a crypto coin, yes, there's public information on Twitter about these like massive donations dropping just out of nowhere to Veterans for Child Rescue under this MAGA meme coin. And when I was like, wow, where did this $500,000 out of nowhere come from? They were like, I don't know, but praise the Lord, right? Let's thank them on Twitter. So when I started asking questions about the Moonies cult, specifically like, what's all this about? They shut me down hard. But more importantly, oh, they got so scared. Real quick, I gotta play you a music video because this is funny. Yeah, just so you know, I was not kidding. So the irony, right, of this guy who calls himself a Christian, as well as a federal criminal investigator, of which I don't believe he is, and I believe that's a felony. But anyway, he also is the founder of an anti-trafficking nonprofit. So do you think it's totally normal for them to associate with these people who have had so many allegations, specifically of the exploitation of minors? And if you were to ask questions directly to the founder and he were to retaliate in some really strange ways, would you say that's a red flag or, totally normal for Christians? I mean, y'all